Hello, and welcome to Career Pathways with Adeola Kagho. This is the podcast that brings you real stories, honest reflections, and transformative insights that help you navigate your career with clarity, with courage, and with purpose. So, if you're one looking to thrive and to grow, then this is the place to be. This is episode 4, and I'm very excited about this episode because I have a special guest, Jaouad Rahou. Jaouad is a seasoned Chief Financial Officer. Jaouad, you're welcome.
Thank you, Adeola.
All right. And just before we get into it, I'm going to share a very short backstory of how I met Jaouad. A couple of years ago, Jaouad and the leadership team of one of the organizations that he was working for had interviewed me for an HR role. And I actually accepted the offer to start the job, but somehow my employer at the time had asked me to stay on, and I had to decline an offer that I already accepted. Of course, that wasn't really good, but Jaouad really was very understanding. And for me, his leadership really shone through at that point in time. And that's one of the reasons why we have kept a good relationship since then. And I'm glad to now be interviewing Jaouad on Career Pathways with Adeola Kagho. It's nice having you on the platform, Jaouad. All right. I'm going to get into reading your profile. You wanted to say something, Jaouad?
No, please go ahead.
All right. So we'll get into the profile right away. So Jaouad is a seasoned Chief Financial Officer with over 15 years of experience leading finance and operations in the logistics and transport sector. His career spans 7 countries, including Nigeria, South Africa, Madagascar, Denmark, the UK, and the Middle East, where he successfully guided large teams and delivered results for global leaders such as Maersk, MSC, and DP World. Renowned for his strategic insight and operational acumen, he has helped shape logistics frameworks and expand transport networks across the African continent. In addition to his executive roles, Jaouad has served on multiple boards, contributing to governance, financial oversight, and long-term strategy at both local and regional levels. He is deeply passionate about building high-performing finance teams, nurturing talent, launching impactful projects, and creating resilient organizations built to last. That's such a powerful profile, Jaouad. Well done with all those accomplishments.
Thank you, Adeola. Thank you for welcoming me in your broadcast. I've followed the first couple of episodes and I found them extremely interesting. The angle that you are taking to talk about a career of people and how they got there, it's really insightful. So I hope to be part of a long series of interviews where you can share with the young generations some advice and tips on how to manage their career. So thank you very much for inviting me, Adeola.
Thanks a lot, Jaouad. Okay, so we get into your early career, but maybe before then, I guess some of our guests will wonder where Jaouad is from. You want to maybe tell us a bit about where you're from and where you grew up?
Yeah, of course. I am from. I have a double background. My parents are from Morocco, and we grew up in France. Me and my siblings grew up in Paris.
All right. So from Morocco to the world. Yeah, let's get into your career. I know that you studied finance. Could you tell us what drew you to finance?
So finance is rarely something that you have when you are 5 or 6 years old, and you say, "When I grow up, I want to be a CFO or finance professional." It's something that you get into it as you grow. I was actually very good in numbers all through my educations. I really enjoyed numbers. Then when I started at university, I was starting to be also passionate about business, and I found that finance was the best way to get into business and also to use what I was very strong in, which was numbers. So, which made me end up in finance. Today, a lot of passion for this field.
And I like what you said about the fact that finance is not one of those careers that maybe people will typically start saying that they're going into as young kids. Is maybe the medicine, the law, and the engineering. Yeah, but as you grew up, you found that you loved numbers and also had, some passion for business. I mean, you decided to sort of build on your strengths. So that's really nice. You've spent a number of years in the work environment now, and you've also seen how the world of work has evolved. And so, say you had to make that decision of choosing a path again, would it be finance? If so, why?
Yeah, I think it will still be finance, because looking back, finance gave me so much opportunity to grow in my career and to explore many things and to travel the world. So it still will be in finance, because finance is really the backbone of any organizations. And if you understand finance, it opens the door to many opportunities. Uh, Although, if I had to do it again, I'll spend a little bit more time on those new area of finance, the fintech space, the AI, machine learning space, all what we call sustainable finance, ESG investing, which I think are quite key for tomorrow world. But the foundation of finance still remain. If you want to be good in finance, then you need to be strong in your core finance, which are your accounting, your forecasting, your treasury, your tax. And all those areas are the backbone of finance. You have to really master them.
Yeah, thanks, Jawad. So, what I'm hearing is you believe that finance still has a very strong place. It's the backbone of businesses. And so, if you still had to make this decision again, you will be going the finance route, but maybe with some redefinitions, based on what you know about the world of work, looking at infusing artificial intelligence, sustainable AI, and sustainable finance, things like that. Okay, so thanks for sharing those tips with our listeners. I also observed that you attended a number of global elite schools. So those are schools that are maybe referred to as Ivy League and very well recognized schools. The question that I comes to mind is, how has attending those schools shaped your worldview? And also in terms of global opportunities, did they contribute to you getting global opportunities, you would say?
Yeah, thank you. So the first elite school that I went to was the University of Sorbonne in France, which is one of the oldest and most prestigious university in France. I got my master's degree in finance there. So, and I learned quite a lot. First of all, when you get to those kind of school, then you get to your classmates are quite sharp. They are
Mm.
all well grounded. They have the same mind than you, hardworking people, very curious people, and you learn a lot from them. I think this is the first thing. The second thing is you get exposed to the last learning materials. You get access to the best teachers, the best professors that really go deep in topics. And because you have a group in your class that are smart, hardworking, then you can go really deep in many topics. And I still remember the class that I had 15 years ago now. I'm still using them today. All those learning, all those how corporate finance work. I'm still using them today in my day-to-day jobs. So I think those university really prepare you well for your career, especially in your early stage, where you have to take a step forward or further very quickly. So, yeah, so this is my view about heavy lift. They really prepare you well for the world and put you in front of the other ones.
Wow. Thanks for highlighting the benefits of attending those schools. And some of the things that I take away is the fact that the quality of those you study with, you're also working with very high quality people. And that definitely impacts even how you show up. Quality of the materials, the quality of the teachers, and so that's really sets a solid foundation for people to get a head start in their careers. Yeah, thank you so much. All right. Jared, you've also worked in a lot of multinational organizations, and I want to ask if you have noticed any bias, even if it's subtle, with respect to them employing people who have not attended this Ivy League or globally elite schools. And if that is the case, what would you then advise people who have not been opportune to have that kind of background?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very good question. I think there is a clear bias on all, let's say, tier one organization to hire from the best school. And there is a reason for that, because those organizations will say, I want the best students to join my organization. And the best students are found in the best school, because each school has a very, very low acceptance rate. They hire only the best one. So by hiring the best from the best school, they kind of secure the best people available. And this is the fact, because those people that come from the best school have the ability to, or they have shown the ability to take a huge amount of learning. They have shown very good cognitive ability. They have shown ability to work together, to meet a tight deadline, and so on and so on. And therefore, they go into the best organization. But I've also seen a lot of people that in my career that were not coming from this good school, but got a fast track also. And I think my advice is most probably in your early career, you really need to push very, very hard your learnings, doing your certification. If you are in finance, if you get very early a CFA or CPA or SCCA, it puts you in front of everyone else. If you finish your master degrees and you already have a CFA, you are well in advance. You can really compete with others from the best school, without a doubt. And on those certifications, they don't require any acceptance rate, or you just have to register on the hard work, which I think is a little bit, it's more fair for everyone, because everyone starts at the same level. You just you have to show that you are able to work a lot and take all the knowledge of those certifications.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And what I've heard you say clearly is that bias is there. Organizations want to go for the best, and the belief is that those best are from those globally elite schools. But then again, you are saying that if people have not had that opportunity, there are still other means or other ways to make themselves competitive. And in the finance field, you would recommend the ACCAs, the CPAs, and all your professional certifications. And you believe that those will make them equally as competitive as those who have attended the Ivy League school. So yeah, thanks for that perspective. Jawad, how many years into your being a finance specialist did you then become a chief finance officer?
I think 5 years.
5 years.
After five
Wow.
years, yes.
That is like, it's real acceleration. I think you're one of the few people that I know that became a chief finance officer that early in their journey. And so what do you think prepared you to take on such responsibility just 5 years into your journey?
I think there's multiple things. First of all, before graduating from my master degrees, I already had maybe 4 or 5 years of internship kind of work, where I interned in a bank, insurance, one of the biggest car manufacturer in the world, their treasury department. And I already had those experience because I was doing my internship or also studying. So when I got my master degrees, I was kind of having a little bit of experience. And then my first years of real work were in internal audits. And the good thing about internal audit is it prepares you very, very well to the future, because every uh, audit is a new experience. So you have to learn and learn, learn and learn. You have to go and audit things that you don't know about. So consistently, I have to learn with new people and be expert in a very, very short of time of what they are doing in their day to day, to be able to challenge them what they are doing. Then you understand also risk very well, which is a core activity of CFO. And then lastly is that you get exposed to senior leadership. I remember when I was 25, I was already debriefing audits with CEO of countries. And that exposes you quite quickly, because the first couple of times you take some slap in your face, because those people have a way to deal very, very fast. And if you are not able to keep the pace, then you'll be behind. So it's required really hard work and on this ability to learn very, very quickly. So I think this is really what shaped me start a CFO journey early.
So it seems like you were really very intentional about your career, because you mentioned that, you started with a lot of internships, and those formed, part of the preparation. Also very strategic in terms of the roles that you took. So you took roles in audit, in risk, and these roles exposed you to senior leadership and even CEOs of organizations quite early in your career. At 25, you were speaking to CEOs already. Amazing, and really fantastic. Okay, so I also know that
But there is also something. There is also
okay,
a little bit of luck, right?
luck. Okay.
Because yeah, you need to have that person that at some point believe that you can do it,
Mm,
right?
mm,
That person that see on you and say, "Let me take a bet on that guy. He's young, but let me take a bet and let's see." At some point, I had that person that said, "Okay." The funny thing is, so I was in Denmark and they were looking for a CFO in Madagascar, uh, and they were looking for someone that really understands risk and speak French.
mm.
There was not a lot of people that were able to speak French and understand the risk as I was. So, and that person that was able to make the bet, okay, let's give him a chance. Let's send him to Madagascar. He's hardworking person, and we believe he can do it. So I think that first chance is really, really important.
Yeah, so for you, you think it's luck, but I think you had sponsorship. You had somebody who took a bet on you, and you had even been visible, and they already knew the quality of your work. Plus, your language fluency also helped, and that was also something that I had in mind to ask you, whether there was any soft skill or something that you had over and above what every other person had. And that's obviously language skills. So thank you for sharing how language skills could also really help catalyze or accelerate people's careers. Okay, so you got into global finance leadership. You started leading multiple countries. And if I look around, I do find that there are lots of finance leaders who are stuck in country roles. What do you think enabled your own shift to be able to manage across multiple countries?
I think you first have to be intentional about working with other countries, get out of your own country. If you are working in a global organizations, you often find a lot of opportunities that are not seen as opportunity. Working on a global project, be part of a small project that includes a multiple country, getting way more connected with that person in the head office that asks you for a report every month, being very intentional about your connection outside the countries and making sure that you put a name or your name out outside the country when you have visitors coming from outside. Make sure that you are the one taking them out for lunch. Make sure that you are the one explaining them about the country. Being really intentional about your network outside your country.
Mm,
Because I see a lot of people that are based in their country, but they don't look outside.
mm.
I think being intentional about your network outside your country can help you a lot.
Right, right. And thank you for getting really practical in terms of the tips that you had given, because I heard you say that, a lot of professionals are stuck in the country roles because even when they work with multinational organizations, they are not intentional about strategic networking that could position them for global opportunities. So you have to be visible. You even mentioned going out of your way to show visitors around the country when they come. I mean, that way you get known. It's not everybody that can do that, but at least what's important is understanding that you need to build your network outside your local operation. And being in a multinational organization already gives you that opportunity because there are, many countries or many markets. And then you also mentioned working on projects. There are projects that you can contribute to and showcase your work. And therefore, when opportunities become available, then your name comes up. All right. Thank you so much for that. So, Jawad, I've also often wondered in terms of local roles versus global roles. So, a person might decide that I want to build depth in country versus global, right? Do you see a difference in these two? Somebody working in a single country versus you working across countries.
There is a difference because when you are building your depth understanding of one country, then you are becoming expert. You understand the regulation, you understand the economic needs, you understand the customer behavior, competitive landscape, and you really start to get that granular understanding that lead to a highly specializations, high knowledge, and a strong local network, which is different from leading across different countries where I think it's more about leadership, about understanding what works in one country, trying to put best practice together, trying to balance all your countries to make it work. Uh, I think it's a different set of knowledge, set of skills that you need to those both activities. When you start leading across different countries, you really need to have a fair understanding of each market, but not necessarily deep. And that fair understanding enable you to lead that market from a more high level perspective.
So do you see that anyone is better than the other? Would it be better to say, okay, I'm building depth versus breadth? What's your take?
No, I don't think. I don't think there is one that is better than the other one. It's more about what you prefer. Do you prefer leading across a different country or really be depth into one market, trying to understand the complexity of it on becoming an expert? I don't see one better than the other one. I see it as a different sets that you require. But uh, it was very interesting for me because before coming to Nigeria, I spent my job before coming to Nigeria was to lead a finance organization for 13 countries, from Namibia
Did you say
from
13?
Namibia, yes, 1 3, from Namibia to Mauritius, including Zimbabwe, Zambia, Madagascar, South Africa. I really had to stretch my understanding of each of those economy and what are the best practice to take from Zimbabwe, what are the best practice from Madagascar, and how to take all of this into one single organization. So then when I came to Nigeria, I have to specialize in one country, really go deep into understanding the market, understanding the people, understanding the culture, on having that experience of multiple countries, then you have multiple examples that you can compare Nigeria into. And then you start to identify this part into something that you know already from Zimbabwe. This part of, you know it from what you experience in South Africa and so on. And then you really, it's becoming easier to understand your place when you have that large experience with multiple countries.
Yeah, thanks, Jawad. And I mean, even though you are like being conservative, to say that you don't see that one is better than the other because they require, different skill sets. But you did say that working or leading across many countries has stretched you, and maybe even from a complexity point of view, seem to be a lot more complex. And there are many other things that people need to be aware of, regulations across many markets. And I mean, I think that getting that kind of opportunity, it's really good, expands people, and then also gives a lot of exposure versus just being in one country. So thank you for sharing that. Something I also noticed about your career, Jawad, is that you seem to have an expertise getting jobs in multinational organizations, and we have a number of people who have struggled for so many years and have not been able to get an opportunity. Is there something that you know? How do they need to position themselves for multinational organization opportunities?
I think multinational organizations are really looking out for talents, especially in Nigeria. All my CFO counterparts, when I spoke to them, they are really looking out for talent. And if you are able to show that one, you have the right knowledge that is certified by proper qualifications, international qualifications are often preferred because it shows that knowledge is not only basic in Nigeria. And then the right start of experience. If you are a junior, then you need to show that you have done some internship, you have spent enough time trying to learn the basic in an organization that value your work. And I think that consistency, that depth of learning is very important. And then something that we don't talk a lot about is how do you apply to this job? For the last, I don't know, 5, 6 years, I was part of organization, if you count last, I was part of organization that hired more than 700 people in the last 5 years. I spend a lot of time interviewing people in my jobs, and I'm still kind of disappointed sometimes when I see some quality of CV that you will just open it and you will close it immediately. For example, yesterday I chatted with someone that was quite interesting person, and then he sent me his CV. His CV was in a Word format. You open it, all the formatting was wrong. Couldn't read it. Then this CV, you cannot spend too much time on it because if the quality of that CV is wrong, which should reflect what is best in one person, then we say, okay, what this person will deliver for me in the future. So I think it starts by showing your best when you prepare your CV. If you don't know how to do it, then go hire a professional or ask someone in your network that will do it for you nicely. Today we have all these chat GPT, all these AI that can really do a great job for you. Then work a little bit on your LinkedIn profile, make it attractive. Nice picture of you doesn't cost much. Nice explanation of what you have done doesn't cost much. And then when you are called for an interview, and I'm still shocked today when I do interviews and I find people that are sitting in the car doing their interviews with their phone. And we have plenty. We really have plenty. When we do a set of interviews, even for senior people, maybe 20% or 30% of those people still show in a car when they are doing interviews. It's okay if you are in the middle of your day job and you have to find a space to do your interview to be in the car. But it's not nice because you will have someone knocking at your window, selling you something, someone walking there behind you. So I think really taking care of the recruitment process when you apply for a job is really critical because I still see many that are really mindful and then at the end they complain why they didn't get the job. So I think this is my advice.
Again, thank you for so much practical tips. You are clear that the jobs are there, even based on your experience in Nigeria. You said, just relating with some of your CFO counterparts, the jobs are there. The problem is not the availability of the jobs. The problem is in the quality of the candidates that are available. And you shared powerful tips, people probably need to look at the quality of the education that they have. And then you also spoke about the recruitment process and how people prepare. What I did pick from what you were saying is that a lot of people are careless about how they go through the recruitment process, and at the end of the day they complain that they're not getting the jobs. So your take is that people need to take the recruitment process a lot more seriously. The jobs are out there, but we need to position ourselves properly for those jobs. Thanks a lot, Jawad. Okay, so you've worked across the Middle East, South Africa, Scandinavian countries, and now Nigeria. I'm not sure if I've missed out any other one. I know that there's some countries in Europe that you've also worked as well. How do you see that working across so many countries and at such a young age? You started so young, how has that shaped your leadership style?
Yeah, it really shaped you a lot because there is no more different country than Denmark or Madagascar or Nigeria. They are completely different. It really teaches you about adaptability and flexibility. You need to take what you know, put it aside, and start to adapt to your new reality. This aspect of cultural intelligence, try very quickly to understand what you can say, what you cannot say, how to say things. Talking to a Nigerian and a Danish is completely different. Talking to a Danish or someone from Madagascar or South Africa is completely different. And you really need to adapt, be patient, and bring your humility, because then you all the time question yourself to say, okay, am I good enough for the people that I'm around? And it's quite humbling, to be honest, because you all the time have to think again and readapt to your system. Then more you do it, easier it is. But it's still a challenge. You see, I spent now 5 or 6 years in Nigeria. And, Nigeria by itself is multiple countries, right? Because you have all the localities, the different states, different parts of the country behave differently. And on in itself, Nigeria, it's complex. It's very different from the rest of the world, in my opinion. But it's super interesting. It's super interesting.
Yeah. Thanks, Jawad. And, what I hear is fast adaptation is required, especially, I mean, some of these countries that you have led, the differences are so stark, and they're so far apart from each other. And that required you to be really, really adaptive and being very fast. And then you also spoke about cultural sensitivity, really being very important for someone who's going to be able to lead across many countries. And I mean, it's glad to hear that, just having worked across those countries has really helped shape your leadership or the way that you lead people now. If I look at your career,
I want an anecdote about this, which is really striking about cultural difference. You see, I remember when I was in Denmark, Christmas party is something. So you start budgeting for Christmas party around March. In June, you have the local, you book the place. In July, you send all your invites. In August, they send you to choose your menu. And then you just have to wait until 15th of December when the party will start. My first year in Nigeria, I wake up around end of November. I say, guys, we are not doing any Christmas party. They're like, yeah, we are going to do it. Don't worry. And then I say, okay, it's okay. Then around the 5th of December, someone come in my office. I say, okay, we need to put together the budget for the party. I said, yeah, but the party, if it has to be next week. And I said, don't worry, here's the budget. So I say, okay, in Rome, do like Romans, right? So I say, okay, whatever. So here's the budget. Okay, it's fine. The budget is approved. Then I remember they sent the invite 2 days before the party. Everyone showed up into that party. It was one of the best parties that I attended. That was organized in maybe 2 or 3 days max. So everyone was there, everyone was happy. So which tell you a lot about planning, organizations, but also about there's no one system better than the other one, right? You can do things in 2 days and being turn out to be the best party, or plan it all across the year. So and you need to adapt to those different skills or different mindsets. So, on people that worked with Nigerian, what they really struggle is that fast pace, the ability to turn things around quickly, because they are not used to that. They need a little bit more planning, but they don't understand that maybe the Nigerian mindset is more, we are going to do it very fast, while the rest of the world or other country will think we need to plan it to do it. And I think this is one of the things that the rest of the world uh, really struggle to understand when it's come to Nigeria, or one of the things.
all right, thanks, Jawad. Very interesting. So, in other words, we plan later, but we still deliver a really good party. That was nice. Okay, most of your career has been as an expatriate, and there are so many people, young professionals that I've spoken to that look forward to being an expatriate, right? So they see the nice side of it. Is there anything that you think that people who are considering becoming expatriates should be aware of, both enriching and even the challenges that you face?
Yeah. So if you want to be expatriates, you really have to be intentional about it
Mm.
because it's really hard. It's hard in the sense where you have to build on and build every time that you change countries. You have to meet new friends, build a new network, build a new knowledge, and then leave it behind and start again. And that process is it's very difficult process, to be honest. You get better more you do it. But think about it, if you grow up in a town, you have all your friends from school, you have your mom, your dad. Every weekend you are very busy with your university schoolmates and your cousin, and then all of a sudden you have no one. You
Mm.
have to build again. So that process is very difficult. But if you like to meet new people, to challenge yourself to new things, then I think it's really worth it. But see, there's something that someone told me before, that it's not greener anywhere else. It's greener where you take care of. So you can go in any country in the world, and it will not be greener there because you believe it will be greener there. It will be greener there because you are going there and you are going to put it green. So wherever you are, you need to make sure that your family is comfortable, that you are comfortable, that you make friends, that you build connections, and then it will become green. But people often ask me, where do you like the most? Cape Town, Madagascar, Denmark, Middle East. And I all time answer the same thing is it was great everywhere. It was
Mm.
great everywhere because I had friends everywhere, I had connection everywhere, and I loved my colleagues everywhere. I built deep relationship everywhere, and this is why it was great. So my advice to people that are moving is to really build connection, build network, and start to if it's a different language, start to learn it. When I was in Denmark, I learned Danish, which was the
Oh.
hardest language to learn. But to really connect with the local population, and not to say, oh, let me just hang out with my friends from my own country.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. So people need to be aware that being an expatriate really disrupts your life in the sense that you are uprooted from your family, the friends, and the systems and structures that you know that already built you. But if you're adventurous, open to learning, and ready to build new networks, then it is something that you should look at trying out. Yeah, thanks a lot. I like the part that you talked about trying to at least learn the language so that you are able to connect with people. I struggle with languages, but thank you for telling me or sharing with me how important this is. So I will definitely be taking on a challenge. I have a language in mind that I'm trying to learn. I will let you know how that goes. All right, Jawad, you've really led on a large scale. Are there some principles, leadership principles, that have anchored you and really enabled you to be successful in your job leading large scale?
Yes. So I think you need to make sure that your team is right.
Mm.
Your talents in your team are right, that they understand your visions, and they are able to work at the same pace. So I often spend a lot of time building my team, making sure that my team is right. Then having a clear vision on strategic alignment is quite key. Making sure that you are very deliberate about communicating that vision, communicating that strategy on a regular basis. And then the communication aspects. For the last, since I'm CFO, I have one ritual that I keep. Every Monday, I meet with my direct reports, and every Monday, I speak to all my finance people that are reporting to my organizations through a broadcast where we explain what we're doing, we explain how we're going to do it, we explain the priorities of the week, and really be deliberate about making sure everyone understands where we are going. And I think this really helps to make sure that you are going in the same directions. But I think the biggest is that talent development, making sure that you have the right people in your team. Because if you don't have the right people in your team, sooner or later you are going to struggle.
Thank you for that. So very important, to ensure that you have the right people on your team, and communication. Important to continue to communicate the strategic vision, and that's part of the things that has really helped you to be successful. Something interesting that you had told me when we were having our conversation, our discovery conversation, was the fact that you always made sure that you had a successor to take over your roles. And what we do find, or what I've found, is that people sort of do the opposite and then complain that they're not able to grow. So someone is on a job, maybe as CFO, but you're not preparing anybody else to take over yet. You complain that you're not able to move to the next level. So how did you build that mindset?
Yeah, so I think what you have explained, I see it a lot. I see a lot of leaders or a lot of CFO that are so scared about their job that they make sure that no one can take it. So they don't train their team. They don't have a succession plan in place, and therefore they end up with weak teams because they are not building competency. But I think this is a very counterintuitive way of thinking, because if you are preparing someone in your team that is slowly taking over what you are doing, even when you are on seat, then you can spend more time doing what your boss is doing. If you have finance, then you spend slightly less time on your day-to-day accounting, day-to-day treasury management, tax, and so on. Then you can spend a little bit more time on the strategic perspective, which will guide you to move towards your next job. So that thing is really important. That dynamic is very important to understand. If you have someone that is starting doing your job, then you have a little bit more time to do the job of your boss, therefore preparing for your next move. So this is the first aspect. And the second aspect is it's very difficult for people to appoint you to another job if they don't know that your current job will be secured by someone that can do it. So if your management knows that if Jaouad moves, there's someone that is as good as Jaouad that can do the job, then they will be very comfortable to let you move. So I think that aspect in career management is something that is highly misunderstood. But if you are preparing someone very deeply to do your job, then it will free you to do another job. And this is a concept that I've been applying for the last 10 years, where every time I moved to another, or I left my CFO job, someone in my team took over.
Fantastic and very brilliant. And you're so correct that it is something in career management that is highly misunderstood, where people feel that they need to really hold on to these jobs and they're not sharing knowledge. So what those people are basically doing to themselves is you're really tying yourself down in that job, because no boss is going to let you move when there's no one to take over your job. So it's quite important to start mentoring people as soon as you get into a job. In my organization, we used to say, my former organization where I worked, we used to say, we kind of walk ourselves out of the job. So you prepare somebody else and you are sort of out of a job, but you are basically doing something more strategic. All right. Thanks for that. Jawad, you've spoken about the importance of having a great team, right? So could you share with us what are some of the things that Jawad looks out for when he's building a?
Yes. So first of all, I look at curiosity, people that are really curious and willing to learn. Because the most difficult thing is to try to teach someone that's not willing to learn. I learned it in the hard way in my early career years. It's very difficult. So I think having someone that has strong learning mindset, willingness to learn, I think this is number one. Then the second thing is hard work. Someone that is really willing to work hard, put what it takes for his career. It's not necessarily long hours, but it's doing your job, and when you have finished doing your job, then starting getting to the job of others, understanding what the others are doing, getting exposed to other things. But I think those are key things. And the third thing is also the soft skills, people that are able to get along with others. It's very important in the job that we have. Finance job are not as they used to do when you are sitting in front of your laptop and you are just doing accounting. It's really about interacting with others, understanding the dynamic of sales, the dynamic of marketing, the dynamic of operation. And this is about talking all the time with the organization. It really requires the ability to get along with people. I think it's quite key. So I will again put those 3 points: the curiosity, ability to work hard, and the ability to get along with others.
Yeah, absolutely. Collaboration continues to come up as I speak with different guests. So that's a common theme that I've continued to see. Organizations are really looking for people who are collaborative. And the one thing that I wanted to highlight that you said is the fact that hard work is not the same thing as long hours. And I think that's another misunderstanding or misconception where so many people spend long hours, but they're not delivering quality and they think that it is hard work. So yeah, that's something that should be borne in mind. Again, if I look at your career, Jawad, I noticed that you've typically worked in logistics. Or what sector would you say? How do I classify the sector that you've worked in?
So I started in finance, industry, banking, and then most of my time in logistics.
Okay. So it was banking and then later on into logistics. So I can still say that you do have multi-sector experience. And there's the debate around whether having multi-sector experience is better than building or having depth in one sector. I would like to hear your take on that.
I would say that sometimes the sector complement each other's. When you have experience in a financial sectors, become a CFO, it helps a lot because you understand how your main counterparts, banks, are working. But building that, especially in your early part of the career or the first part of your career, building that industry expertise is really critical in my opinion because then you are ahead. When you are a CFO specialized in logistics, then you can contribute greatly to any logistic companies at the highest level. You understand how the market works, you understand how the business works, and this is what people are looking at when they're hiring CFOs, hiring someone that really understands their business. It's put you a little bit in front, to be honest. On logistic in Africa, in most of the country, you will see the same kind of pattern, a little bit of inefficiencies, few bottlenecks here and there, and complex regulations. I think when you become expert on those areas, it really helps you to deliver on your job.
Yeah. So in your view, you're basically saying that early in the career, you think it's quite good to sort of have depth in a certain sector because that way you're able to provide solutions within that sector. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Do you want to add something else?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about reward and how that has impacted your career decisions. I know that there are lots of professionals who have had, maybe different opportunities, but not exactly very financially rewarding. And because of that, they didn't take those opportunities. So, what role has reward played in your own career? Have you maybe had a time that you had to maybe even take a step down from a financial point of view, or has it always just been upward move for you?
It's a very, very good question. The answer is I took some proper cuts in my rewards. I remember once cutting my salary by 2, changing country. It was a tough decision to take, but it was the right move too because that job, even though it was stepped up but paid way less, it was really key. It was a stepping stone in my career because if I was able to do this job well, then it would open up some other job. And I think one really need to look at long-term goals. Of course, one needs to make sure that your needs are met, but it's more important to look at your long-term goals, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, when you decide for a job. I see this mistake lot in finance profession where they are in a good position, in a good organization, they are doing well, they are developing their skill sets, and then they decide to move to another organization for let's say double their salary sometimes. But then they go in an organization where they know it, but they don't want to see it, that they will stay there for many years without progression because it's an organization that is run poorly, that is not managing talent properly, and then they get stuck there. So my advice is really to look at the long-term game and not go for these short-term rewards that are good, but do not take you far. So my opinion is, especially in your first 10 years, is really to look for those jobs that will teach you how to do well your job, that will give you very large exposure, that will give you seniorship, leadership exposure, and that will shape you for the next 20 years.
Wow, wow. That's so well said, Jawad. Thank you so much. Because, like you said, a lot of people do make these mistakes where they always put financial reward first. So, in your view, it is important, especially where you have needs to meet. But at least the first 10 years of your career, there are certain things that you should be looking out for in the roles that you take, roles that will deepen your expertise, roles that will give you the kind of exposure that will prepare you for your next 20 years. Because like you said, I mean, the career, 20 years career is a long journey. So it shouldn't just be about your financial reward. You should look at long-term goals. We need to reduce the number of people who continue to make these errors around the financial reward. Thank you. Something interesting that I found very recently is you just completed an MBA, Jawad, and I was wondering how a seasoned or why a seasoned executive like yourself, who's already very accomplished, is now going for an MBA. Would you like to share that with us? What prompted that decision and what have you learned so far?
Yeah, so it was really, really interesting. So I spent the last 18 months in my executive MBA in Paris at HSE, which is one of the best schools. So the first thing is, after working for 15 years, going back to school, then you reset, you relearn, get new learning, especially when you are specialized in finance, logistics in Africa. You are missing a lot about the world, right? Because you end up being like this. So I think having a refresh on some learning about strategy, learning about digital technology, learning about marketing, bringing a new set of knowledge to you, which should help for the next level of your career. And then the next thing is meeting new people, because when you are a finance professional in Nigeria in logistics, you end up meeting people that are in Nigeria, that are in finance, that are in logistics, or in your kind of space. And you end up all thinking about the same thing, talking about the same issues, having the same solution to the same issues. But when I spent my 18 months in going back and forth in Paris, I met people from Uzbekistan, from Malaysia, from place, from Brazil, some people working in cacao, in Peru, people working in India in tech, people working in Japan in manufacturing. So then you end up saying, this is really big. The world is big. And,
Hmm.
and then when you have classes, you hear things that you never hear in your normal day to day. Because people will come with complete different way of thinking, which is right, but something that you have not been exposed to. Then when you take all this knowledge, you bring it to your day to day, make you a really different person. So, and I think that experience was great. And then knowing all these people, it's really help in developing a new set of network, because at some point you are your network is made of your people of your day to day, and if you are not exposed to the world, then your network starts becoming small. And by doing that, your network expand again. So for now, it's great. If I go to Dubai or to India or to China, I have friends that I've made during this journey. So, and then it's also, now I'm almost 40 in 2 years' time. So it was good to put a little bit more energy into to myself, and to take again the next 10 or 20 years of my career.
Wow, fantastic. For you, I mean, after 15 years, really focused on growing your career, you thought it was time to refresh, and your way to refresh was also to go back to learn. And you've said that it's been a fantastic experience, learning a lot, um, and seeing that maybe the world is changing, learning a lot from other people, and also very strong networks built. So thank you for sharing that with us. You've worked in very high pressure environment, Jawad, and I would really love you to tell us, how do you manage your own energy, your own well-being? What are some of the things that you do?
Yeah, I think those jobs, they get under high pressure, especially when you go through tough time. It's really, really high pressure. And on the
Mm,
one, they have to really be able uh, to step back when you come back from work, have a way to relax and to relativize all what we are doing. But it's one of the things that is really difficult to do. I've seen a lot of people break down because they are not able to take all the pressure. But I really try my best to take care of myself physically, sleep well, eat well, exercise. Although time is very difficult sometimes to find the time to do it, but to really balance your well-being, because if you are not well, then you cannot perform well. You cannot be
mm,
the best version of yourself. If you have not slept well for 1 or 2 nights, then at work you'll start to be behind. So I think those aspects, and also having a nice support around you, being your family, your friend, or your church, or your mosque, your social group. Make sure that you are building it nicely. That on a Friday evening, that you can go have a dinner or a drink with a friend or family, and just relax, think about something else. Because otherwise, work will really kill someone. My dad used to say, don't be misguided. Work never finish. You
mm.
see, you can start in morning and finish in 10 days. You will still be busy working. So the work will never finish. But you should be able to just take a step down, stop for a few moments, enjoy your evening, relax with your family, your friends, and be able to start again the next morning.
Yeah, thank you for those nuggets you've shared. Yeah, I fully agree with you. The work never ends. And if you're not well, like you said, you cannot be the best version of yourself. So it's good to take time to pause like you do, spend time with your family, eat well, sleep, exercise. So as professionals, we really need to find time for these things, for self-care, so that we can be the best version of ourselves. I would love to talk about AI before we move on. AI is one big topic globally right now, and there's been a lot of anxiety around AI taking the jobs of people. How do you see AI evolving within the finance space, and what should professionals be doing in order for them to stay relevant in the future of work?
So I think now AI has been generalized for the last 2 years. We are seeing deeply to organizations. We see that it's starting automating a lot of tasks or routine tasks, providing more insight into data, being able helping us to predict better, and it's really helping a lot. It's helping a lot. It will, in my opinion, uh, remove a lot of jobs that can be automated, but it will create a lot of opportunity, and we are seeing it now by just the number of jobs that are open for people that understand AI is so big. For people that are able to understand the business and understand how AI can apply to the business is so big, and I think it's now creating a huge amount of opportunity for people that are curious enough to take AI to business. The jobs are changing, the skill set are changing. And this is what I said to my team. You have to keep up the pace of
Mm,
changes. You have to be curious, especially now that there is no model, right? We are all trying to build our way forward. But I think it will create a lot of opportunity, and also put a lot more emphasis on on the human skill rather than the technical skills, because now anyone can be quite good in tax with ChatGPT, but now the skill set is to understand that those tools, being able to bring the human touch into it and explain it.
Yeah, I really like the perspective that you've brought. The fact that AI is creating a lot of opportunities. People just need to upskill in that area. And also the fact that we now need to bring in the human element, which is what AI cannot do. So we need to really improve on those soft skills, and so that we can have that very good handshake with AI that is already helping us. You said a lot of things about leveraging AI already in your space. So we need to bring that human touch to it as well. All right, great. There's one last question on my mind, and that question is: you have had a very impactful career as a finance leader. Are you thinking about transitioning into general management at any point in time? And if that would happen, what do you think would make you even consider that?
Yeah, I think when you work as a CFO for many years, I think it's then you have two paths: either to move to general management or to continue specializing in finance with a broader scope. I don't know yet, but I think those jobs really prepare you to general management positions because you are so in deep into operation, into marketing, into sales, into HR. You get a really strong understanding of organizations. So yeah, maybe at some point in my career, maybe not now, but yeah, future.
All right, great. Thank you for sharing that. So, I mean, it's something that you will consider, and you also believe that even being a finance leader has already prepared you for that transition in any case. So, yeah, great stuff. One final question, which we always ask on career pathways. You have had a deeply, deeply impactful journey, and something that is the highlight of your journey is that it's been so accelerated. You have grown in a very short while to the peak of your career. So, the question I have is: what advice do you have for professionals who are looking to also grow their careers really fast, the way that you have done? What would you offer them in terms of navigating their own path?
Yeah, so you see, I think the first thing is you really need to work hard. It's
Mm,
really, really, really work hard to be able to do what others are doing in 3 or 4 years, to do it in less than 2 years. You really need to work hard. I remember one of uh, my internship, one of my first internship, my manager ended up saying, Jaouad, you are most probably not the smartest people I know, but you are definitely the most hardworking person I know.
mm,
Because I was all time the first one in the office and the last one to leave. Not to do only my job, but to make sure I do my job and get involved in the job of others. So I think this is one. Then the second thing is to be extremely curious.
mm,
And finance really allows you to be curious. Because when you receive an invoice from operation that you need to process, there's two ways to handle it. It's either you process it or you go sit with that person and ask you to explain what is his invoice, why they are paying this person so and so, and why they are paying so and so. And then you really build your learning of an organization through all those questions of this curiosity. Then never stop your self-development. I spend my time on the CFA. I'm certified internal auditors. I consistently kept learning, and I think this is quite key. Keep learning. And then the last but the most important is be nice with people around you. Really honest with your interactions. Be really genuine when you meet people, and because those people will help you grow. And if you are nice with them,
mm,
genuinely nice with them, then they will help you in the future. So I still have a very good connection with colleagues from 15 years ago. Every 2 or 3 years, I go on vacation with them. My colleagues from South Africa, going to meet them at the end of the year. We're going on vacation together. And those deep connections are so important in one career because at the end of the day, we spend most of the time or more time with our colleagues than with our wife or kids. And if you don't value those connections at work, then you are losing big opportunities. be very mindful about your network, on who you know, and who you're working with. So I think it's very, very important.
Wow, great, fantastic nuggets you shared. So for you, it's hard work. You're offering the professionals to be really hardworking. Curiosity continued to come up as we spoke. So curiosity is big for you. Continuous learning, throughout your journey, you continue to acquire more certifications. So that's also very, very, very important. And being just generally good or nice to people, because it is people that will also help you grow. So thanks a lot, Jawad. Jawad, we've come to the end of our session. I want to thank you because you've really shared deeply from your heart. And I am so thankful for the opportunity to have you on the platform. The nuggets were really golden, and I'm sure that our viewers will find them very, very impactful and insightful. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have just